April 4th or thereabouts. About 11 days later, it had 7,000 likes. Called Save the Cass Railroad. So I read through it, got my attention, and I've talked to John Smith of the Durban and Greenbrier Valley Railroad about it today, and I'll tell you what I talked to about him. But first, let me see what Ben Wilhelm says here. He sent this to Kara Rose. It looks like everybody on the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Ladies, gentlemen, and fellow railroad enthusiasts, first of all, I would like to welcome you to Save the Cass Railroad, and to personally thank each and every one of you for your support. As some of you may or may not know, our beloved Cass Scenic Railroad is in jeopardy. Details are still a little sketchy, as this seems to be happening with tight lips. For those that aren't aware of what is happening, I'm going to stop there for a minute and just let you know that I'm reading this because it's not anonymous. It was sent to us from a specific person. And I'm just going to finish reading it. For those of you who aren't aware of what is happening, I will try to give you some knowledge of the situation as best I can. Apparently, the West Virginia Division of Natural Resources, who runs our state park system, is attempting to turn the operations of Cass Scenic Railroad over to another state agency known as the West Virginia Rail Authority. Once this would happen, West Virginia Rail Authority... Bob, how you doing?
Good evening.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Once this would happen, West Virginia Rail Authority would sublease the railroad operations and all equipment to a private entity. Cass Scenic Railroad, as you know it, would be forever changed. The railroad has made great strides in the 51 years the state has operated it. As you know, it started with 3 locomotives, of which only Shay number 4 was operational. Shays 1 and 5 were in need of major repairs. We now have up to 6 world-class geared locomotives to run at any time, with 1 more being restored by the Mountain State Railroad and Logging Historical Association. Cass Scenic Railroad has more geared steam locomotives than anywhere in the world, and they are maintained by skilled persons who have been employed by the state for many years. You just don't go out and buy parts for a 1905 Shay. Furthermore, Cass has acquired and maintained a large fleet of equipment throughout the years and kept it in great shape. The West Virginia State Park System has always provided the railroad employees with enough to maintain the railroad to run a regular schedule. If Cass Scenic Railroad is lost to a private entity, you can be assured to a limited running schedule and possibly just volunteers to maintain and run the locomotives and equipment. Locomotives and equipment will shortly fall into disrepair. You will see higher fares to ride the train when it is running, no special activities, and most of all, safety issues. I have first-hand knowledge that the current Cass engineers and firemen, among others, will not be retained and or will not stay if this comes to fruition. All those years of knowledge will go down the drain. You just don't put someone in a geared locomotive with passengers and send him or her up and down the steep grades of Cass Hill. Mr. Lidson? It takes years upon years to know what it takes. These aren't toys. I personally witnessed the last round of boiler inspections on April 2nd, 2014. Cass Scenic Railroad has always been a big initial expense for the state. The last figures I had a few years ago was that the state lost $3 per person that rode the train, but in return profited $9 per person because they spent money there at a local hotel or neighboring state park. I was told a few days ago the loss is less and the profit is greater now. Remember, the state gets hotel motel tax from you. The Cass Scenic Railroad has always... Remember, the state gets hotel motel tax from you. The Cass Scenic Railroad has always, from the beginning, been the most visited of any in the West Virginia State Park System. Ridership is seeing an increase again. If Cass Scenic Railroad is no longer a state park, the other surrounding state parks will suffer also and then also become in limbo. Think about that. All of this is set to be voted, on May 1st, 2014. New information will be posted as it is made available. I am planning to have email addresses and phone numbers of persons in the state government and state park system available within the next few days. If you enjoy the sweet smell of coal from a Shay, Heisler, and Climax locomotive, the lonely sound of a steam whistle in the beautiful West Virginia forest, or if you have some of the best memories of your life at Cass, please join in the fight to save it. All it takes is just a few minutes of your time to contact someone in government or the state park system to let your concerns be known. If you are from out of state or from another country, we have many visitors from as far away as Germany and Japan. Please feel free to call or email one of our state officials. Just as our beloved Gear Steam locomotives have been, quote unquote, against the mountain for years, we are too. We can save Cass Scenic Railroad. All it takes is a great group of people to work together and do it. It will happen. While visiting this page, please keep all comments clean and respectful. I wouldn't expect anything less. All derogatory posts will be deleted. Once again, thank you in advance for your support and love of the Cass Scenic Railroad. Yours truly, James Newhouse. Okay, so I guess Benjamin Wilfong forwarded the email. The letter's from James Newhouse, and the Facebook page is facebook.com/SaveTheCSRR. And it was forwarded by Ben Wilfong from CVD. Okay. Well, I'll speak to that a little bit, what I thought may be going on and what I called to talk to John Smith about. As I'm sure all of you are aware, John Smith of Durban and Greenbrier Valley Railroad has been working for several years now on a proposal to get an extended tourist train, about a 90-mile loop, running ideally to lay new line, again from Cass to Durban, where the flood washed it out. From Durban up West Fork, alongside the rail trail, there would be a rail trail still, but also new line laid, all the way into Bemis or Glady, and reopen the tunnel, Glady Tunnel. If you remember that old historical thing, it's a beautiful thing. And then it would join up at the Shavers Fork line, and you could go into to Elkins that way. I've never ridden a train that way, but you can do that. That's the Sheep Mountain Salamander goes that route. I think that's the whole loop. Maybe you're leaving part of that out, but I think it's a wonderful idea. What I was surprised about is the idea that the Cass Scenic Railroad might be in trouble. So I called John Smith today to see what he knew about it, and he said that he's afraid he kind of maybe started the rumor that Cass was in trouble. He did meet with the employees, he said, of Cass Scenic Railroad and talked with them about his plans for the existing plans he has for the 90-mile loop. And he clearly stated that without Cass Scenic Railroad and State Park, there's no point in having an additional part of the tourist train. And that he realizes that the State Park system is always having funding challenges, and that the only way he would ever consider, if he were ever asked, and he has not been asked, to run the Cass Scenic Railroad is if all the employees could stay. So, that's all I know right now, and I will talk to the State Park system tomorrow and find out more information. But my understanding is, hopefully, it's largely a misunderstanding. I could understand and appreciate if there are challenges in the State Park system to keep Cass running, but I know we all love our Cass Scenic Railroad and State Park, and I feel it should stay that way for one. And at the same time, I'm hopeful that John Smith's project will get funding to build an extension to the tourist train. But that's what I know right now. A lot of people are concerned, and I'll keep finding out what I can see what's going on. I don't know if Mr. Beard or Mr. Walker, if you've heard anything about it at this point.
I had talked to Ben just briefly about it.
Okay.
But other than that, no.
I saw about what was on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, it's got a lot of people following it real quick. People love that railroad. So, well, certainly as each of us finds anything more out about it, we'll keep it posted. My feeling, just to go on record, my feelings are that Cass should probably stay a state park. I mean, it's been that way for a long time. I guess I would be afraid that if it did fall into private ownership. Now, I don't necessarily share all the concerns expressed here, but they're legitimate concerns. And my fear would be if it's a private entity, that could have impact on the revenue it generates. It could be negative impact. It could just cause some problems that we're not ready to deal with. Mr. Beard, Mr. Walker, do you want to say anything about what your feelings are on it at this point, or you want to wait and find out more? Or?
Well, I think we need to look into it and find out, but hopefully it's been kind of misunderstood.
I hope that's all this is misunderstanding.
Yeah, I mean, we talked state park some time ago when we talked to John Smith. He had nothing. He talked about just hooking into the Cass Railroad, and that's all that was in his project.
Yeah. Jamie, were you going to say something?
No, I just think it would be a benefit to leave it under state control rather than put it into private.
Okay. Well, I'll contact State Park System, talk to them, let them know our concerns about what we're hearing, and hopefully this has just gotten a little out of control. Mr. DeBerry,
I asked around